Hello, this is our Rats with ICC analyzing a game played in the Team4545 League, team event number 52. This is week 8 or round 1 of the playoffs. This game is between QLW, QZNZN, and Killian. It's a very interesting game, very tense, very exciting. White's team needs a win in this round or they will fail to advance. So it's got to be win or nothing, win or go home. So that adds a certain amount of tension to the game. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, normal Sicilian defense so far. Now I guess this is the Sveshnikov Sicilian. It's been around for years. I can remember back in the late 70s when I was over 1800 ELO trying to crack 2000. I ran into this opening. Central American immigrant, young teenager, had come to America, and he played it against me, and he squashed me. As a matter of fact, I didn't really know the opening, but I looked it up later and found my game matched something that was in Chess Informant for a long time, and I don't recall it without looking. It's not important. I can just maybe show you a couple things I recall. But it just hasn't gone away from popularity. It's always been played. I really don't know current theory on it. It's something that I find ways to avoid because I really don't have time to get in and find out who's better. I imagine black is at least equal because it keeps playing it. He keeps finding resources. And here's one of the key moves of the position. Black with b5 immediately has the threat of b4. So white's got to make some kind of amends about that. And the best I can recall about my game was at some point after some routine development moves, maybe bishop e2 and castles, at some point I pushed with c3, the idea being to bring the knight back into c2, and black pushed by with b4, and I probably had to take, and his pieces just got active, and I got eaten up alive. Okay, so let's just see what happens. Again, I don't know what theory recommends, and that's not important. The purpose here is to try to invite some discussion about this game. Hopefully the participants will see this video and can come back of their thoughts. Okay. Now, that move kind of surprised me. I was actually watching the game live. I didn't see this part because I was asleep, but I woke up and watched a little bit and then went back to sleep when the outcome was still in doubt and saw it later. But giving up a piece for 2 pawns, yeah, you get a couple pass pawns, but unless white thought he saw something that he didn't, it just doesn't seem right to me. But white needs a win. Maybe that's the idea. Was black threatening anything white should worry about? I don't know. What about bishop g4 to try to trap the queen? Well, you have queen takes h7. I don't know. But at any rate, white sacrifices a piece and has a little bit of nuisance value, at least right now. You're threatening to take the knight, which is pinned. It's got to be stopped and dealt with. Okay. h3. I guess white did fear that bishop g4 idea, but unfortunately it creates a little weakness here for white. Let's see how black responds. And black is up a piece for 2 pawns, but he's decided he's going to attack now. And he actually is able to generate some interesting play here. Usually we're accustomed in a Sicilian defense to see white attacking on the king side, and although it does happen from black's perspective, it's rare and rather refreshing to see it. Okay, now a few moves after the sacrifice, white starts his pawns into motion. If they can get up the board quickly without black being able to generate too much activity over on the king side, then white will have excellent compensation. It's really hard to visualize all this way back when you make the sacrifice. I suppose the Super Grandmaster could do it, and to some extent we could, or at least get an idea that we have a chance, and that's exactly what it is. It's a chance. Okay, rook b8. Now queen h4, and suddenly the black pieces are just springing to life all over the king side. 3 pieces pointed at the king, and white's only defender is the queen. So let's see what white can generate. He can't push a4 or a5 right now because the bishop is loose on b5, but he makes a preventative maintenance move. The pawn on h3 was under attack because of the pin, but now there's a new pin on, and you'll see it here in a moment. h5 and rook b1. If anything, it transfers a rook over to the queen side to support the 2 pawns, and maybe if the king gets in danger, it can flee the scene. So at least white won't be stuck there if black gets any kind of a decent attack going. Okay. Then rook b2, just a safe and securing move. It helps secure f2 in case the queen needs to run away to a better square, if there are any. Perhaps then followed up with pawn to g3 to help secure g2 a little better. Of course, that'll leave a gaping hole on g3, and black may be sacrificing on h3 momentarily. So it's kind of a tough position to play as white. I can't criticize rook b2 without deeper analysis. Just have to see what happens. Okay, here's the pin I was talking about. Bishop g4, and you can't take it, obviously, because it's pinned, so the queen has to run away. And now it just seems like black is forcing a win with this next move, f3. It just seems overwhelming. What's white going to do? He can't push by with pawn g3 because it's going to be a quick mate. Queen. Here, I'll show you. It's going to be a quick mate. So, what does white do? He's just he's just in a lot of pain. Excuse me. Okay, so he comes over and brings the rook back. So there went that idea that I had before about getting both rooks over the queen side so the king can run away. Now he has to bring it back here to help secure things. And black just goes ahead and says, have a piece if you want it. And white can't accept it. It's kind of obvious. If you want to try to solve it, just pause the video. Okay, you've resumed. If pawn takes, black takes the rook, and white's down a rook now, for he just has a couple pawns, and he can't take the rook because if he takes it, it's a quick mate. If the king goes to h1 or h2, it's mate on g2. So that leaves king f1, and then white is embarrassed by queen c1 check, and he gets to give up his queen and then loses to mate in 1. So, ouch. This just seems like black is about ready to just bust this game wide open. But white finds some resources. Maybe bishop h3 wasn't the best move. I don't know without further analysis. But it still looks pretty dire for white here. Black just moves his queen over. Now his threat is to put the bishop on g2, and that threatens a mate by queen h3 and queen h1. So white would have to give up even more material. Rook takes on g2. So how does white get out of this? Well, you got to get that knight over the king side. The king needs help, and the fact that black had pushed f4, f3 earlier opened up e3 for the knight. and to some degree the knight's useful there. It's helping secure g2 against some of those threats, but black will just try to keep him on and consider playing bishop h6 and bishop takes h3, eliminating it. Although in that case, white would find a new defender for g2 by taking with the f pawn, and his rook can come over and help. But it's just messy. Not only is black a piece ahead, he's got an attack, and white's compensation over here, these two pawns just aren't doing anything. So let's see what happens. Okay, I guess white felt I need to get rid of that knight. I don't really quite understand it all, but just a few minutes to cover a few things. Okay, there's the idea. Get the pawns rolling. If anything, you've got to generate something now. If you don't now, just resign, because black's has a killer attack going. Okay, shutting off the that critical diagonal. Now we're going to try and get rid of that pawn on f3 and get rid of some more of the pressure. But black says, well, hey, I want your pawn over there. And white doesn't want to allow that. And black says, I'll still open up the king side if I can. White gets rid of that dangerous pawn. And at some point in here, black just falls apart and fails to find the best moves. So again, maybe his bishop takes h3 was faulty. He could have done things a different way. But white has a lot now for his sacrifice piece. Those pawns are well up the board, and pretty shortly, white's going to start winning material. So let's see what happens. Now there's a check. If anything, I guess white could go back and offer to repeat the position, but again, white needs a win, so he can't. But this is a good square for the queen. You're threatening to just shove the other pawn up the board. Black has to find something. So this is kind of risky, it seems, because even though it wins a critical pawn and sends the king closer to the queen closer to the king side attack, because white's king is exposed, well, so is black's king. And we'll see what happens. Now white just grabs a pawn, which threatens a rook. And there's all kinds of tactical possibilities here. So black has to tread lightly. And I don't know the soundness of this move without stopping to analyze it. Perhaps the players or someone else could enlighten us. But it does lead to a long series of checks by black. Let's just check one thing. Go back. Okay, black took about 2 minutes on it, plus his 45-second increment. But now white is ahead material and has those threatening pawns, so unless black finds a draw by repetition, white's going to win this. And who knows, maybe he had one, I don't know. But like I say, a long series of checks develops. And if I'm going through it fast, it's only because I'm running low on my time here for what I can spend. But like I say, the checks keep coming, and they keep coming. And finally, black is out of checks and chose to resign. So a highly entertaining game without spending the necessary hour or two tearing this thing apart. I couldn't begin to tell you exactly where black went wrong, because he seems to have had a nice attack. So maybe that bishop h3 was the culprit. I don't know. But this is a great league game. It's a great gutty victory. It's a heartbreaking defeat at the same time. But we know chess, and these kinds of things happen. The best position doesn't always win. Okay, I want to thank you so much for your time. Look forward to any and all contributions to the analysis here, and have a great day. Thank you.